Hi, I'm J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the January 20th, 2018 edition of the Bible Delight in the Details. Some of you may have viewed an earlier video, and if you did, it's the same one, but I looked at the way it came out, and because of the lighting and the fact that I'm wearing a white shirt as part of this costume, it made it look like I was like practically naked. So I thought, it's probably not good. So, although I can assure you I was not, but, because it's not that kind of show. But so I'm going to redo it. So if you've already heard this, then please just pass on by. I am dressed up like a pirate for a reason. I've been at an event where that was the dress code. But it made me look in the Bible to see about pirates in the Bible. And something came up that I knew nothing about, and I'm going to bring that to you today because it's from a well-known passage, but it gives a whole new perspective. In 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 3 to 6, Paul compares the spiritual warfare that we're going through to a military strategy. And I did not know that actually he's referring to what would have been to his readers, his original readers, very well-known history about the Roman Empire. Apparently, for a period of several decades in the century before Jesus, there had been a terrible pirate problem with regard to the Roman Empire, particularly around where Paul had been born, in an area that was called Cilicia. Palestine was the breadbasket of the Roman world, and a lot of the bread, literally, and foodstuffs for Rome actually came from that area of Israel and related areas around there. And apparently, at one time, there were over 100,000 pirates in 120 strongholds or forts that they had created, and they called them strongholds, literally, along the coast, along the route that would bring the wheat from the Middle East to Rome and the money to pay for that from Rome back to the Middle East. Apparently, there had been lots of attempts by the Roman army and the Roman navy to root out the pirates, but they were conducting an underground guerrilla warfare, and so they would attack and then scurry back to their strongholds. And these strongholds were way up on cliffs overlooking the sea channels. And they were very, very difficult and seemingly impossible to bring down. And the attacks on individual pirates, even when successful, did not stop the general pirating program, or problem, I should say. And so it's interesting because in verses 3 to 6 of 2 Corinthians chapter 10, Paul refers to this in a way that his readers would have understood. He says, we are in a spiritual warfare, but the weapons that we use are not as the world wages war. Rather, we have to use other weapons to bring down the strongholds. And we must take every thought captive to Christ. And we must be very quick for any kind of retaliation and getting back into what we ought to be doing when we start to deviate. Now, what's interesting is he has described the strategy that was used in the pirating problem. The pirating problem was so bad that the general, Pompey, you've probably heard of him, was giving an unlimited budget and 3 years to take care of the problem. He soon realized that new weapons that the world had never seen before, needed to be used. And so he had invented these special large equipment that had grappling hooks where boats could sail under these cliffs, throw the grappling hooks up, and literally pull the strongholds down by undermining their foundations. The Romans stopped going after the individual pirates and instead went back to what was supporting them, these strongholds. Now, how does that impact us? And what is Paul trying to say? You know, a lot of sins seem to be relatively little sins, and we go after them and we try to do better about them. But really, we need to go to the crux of the problem. What is the root of the matter? I'll give you an example. Perhaps someone is covetous about somebody else's wealth or position or relationships. Well, what does that really indicate? Honestly, it has to do with faith in God, because you wouldn't be covetous of someone else if you felt assured that God was going to take care of you and give you what you needed and what was precisely right for you. Or what if you're very stressed out and you worry too much, which you know is a sin? Well, again, what does that really reflect? There's a lack of true leaning on and belief in God, that God will answer in the right time and appropriately. Or what about anger issues or gluttony? Or you could go on and on. It always comes back down to a spiritual issue that is underlying it. And so, just like Pompey, we have to have something, a new type of, a different kind of weapon to go after these strongholds. And once the stronghold falls, a lot of the individual pirates, in our case, the individual sins, will go away as well. Just like Pompey created new kinds of weapons, we must realize that the weapons involved in this spiritual war are literally out of this world. They are divine weapons of God's grace, God's empowerment. And that is shown through prayer and meditation and intervention, intercessory prayer, I should say, and faith and evangelism and all the other things that are not the way the world would fight battles, but the way that spiritual battles are won. And then we must take every thought captive to Jesus so that we do not let any of those pirates get away. And then if any of those pirates, or in our case, sin, start to get up to something pesky again, we must be immediately on top of that, rooting it out and stopping it before a mountain develops out of something small. I had no idea that Paul was actually talking about pirates when he was talking about spiritual warfare in 2 Corinthians. So, arg, mateys! I hope you enjoyed that interesting insight today in often overlooked details of the Bible. I'm J. Lenore Bressler, and I hope you'll come on another voyage with me next time on the Bible. Delight in the details. Have a great day.